Well, it looks like the gap between the outflow boundary where the north winds are coming out from these storms has gotten a little bit wider. That usually leads to weaker storms when that happens. That's just in and around Dover and Kingfisher, but it's a totally different story. Just what 20, 30 miles to my west, back near Watonga and Greenfield, that storm looks a lot more intense and it's much closer to the boundary. That is going to be moving down toward Canadian County very shortly and toward El Reno and then Chickasha and the southwest side of the metro potentially. So we'll be kind of getting ourselves out ahead of that storm and watching it as it moves southeast. It's all right. Spot. Yeah, I just needed something. Needed some storm chasing fuel. Justin wants me to record a video. Yeah, I would say very similar to what I'm seeing visually as well. We're making our way right down Highway 81 here in Kingfisher, just south of the downtown area, and still seeing quite a vivid lightning display out to the west. I mean, I would not be surprised if some people lose some electricity tonight just from the intensity of the lightning. I mean, sometimes we see storms with a lot of just lightning up in the clouds. There's other times where we see so many of these powerful cloud to ground lightning strikes, and for whatever reason, these storms have had that tonight. They've had a lot of cloud to ground lightning, very powerful bolts, what we call positive CGs, cloud to ground lightning strikes as well, and we're seeing a number of those. So storms continue around Dover, very noisy right now. Also toward Loyal, just to the west here of Kingfisher, out toward Omega, and also Alpha, and all the way back out to Watonga. So probably the storm that I'm most most interested in kind of keeping an eye on right now is that storm just south of Watonga. Even though it's not very tall, there's some real heavy rainfall rates that are coming in toward Okarche and El Reno with this storm. When you get a chance, if you find a spot over here to pull off, I'm going to try to just sit still and record this video so I can light it. You don't have to be distracted with the light and everything else because it's kind of inconsistent on lighting whenever we're driving down the road and you got street lights and cars and stuff. Doesn't matter, just anywhere's fine. I'll put the 360 camera wherever you need it. Just park wherever you want. No, I'm just going to record it on my phone. That's it. Yeah, I'll use that as a prop for I'll keep Casey's out of it just in case. It's been a busy day. Tornadoes in northwestern Oklahoma. We've been tracking them in Storm Command. And storms, they're still going tonight. And one of the ways that we just have to power through is, yeah, we got the coffee going for sure, especially for Kyle, who's with me out in Storm Command. And we're just continuing to watch radar scan by radar scan. And honestly, that's how I continue to do it. I'm watching each scan to make sure that we're putting Storm Command in the right spot at all times to track the most severe storms and anything that's tornadic. That's how we do it here in First Alert Storm Command. Field Meteorologist Michael Armstrong, KOCO 5 News. choppy at the end. I had it going pretty good. Yeah, very busy day here in First Alert Storm Command. We started with tornadoes out across northwestern Oklahoma and some of those multi-vortex tornadoes, wild, wild supercell storm moving through northwestern Oklahoma. But now it's nighttime and the storms have continued and we've had to continue as well. One of the ways we do that is with some hot coffee, right? And also, I'm really, really watching the radar close, scan by scan, to make sure that we have Storm Command right where we need to be so that we can bring you the information you need no matter whether it's daytime or at night. Dadgummit. Damon said my freaking name and then that threw me off. I had a feeling he was going to come to me. Yep. Right now, Damon, it still looks pretty active out to the west for sure. I mean, as I look out from Kingfisher out to the west, that's still the storm. It might have some small hail with it. I would not be surprised if areas around Watauga did get just a little bit of hail recently, but mostly it's going to be heavy rain threat and also a lot of cloud to ground lightning as well. We're on the south side of Kingfisher and we'll track it as it moves in. Hopefully this cool air will continue to stay out ahead of it and that will continue to minimize any type of low level circulation features. Well, the storms in Kingfisher, they still have some intense cores with them based on what I'm seeing on radar, but they're not at severe levels. But I mean, I'm just going to turn my camera back around here on Storm Command. I'm going to actually point back up toward Kingfisher and look at that. I mean, right on cue, it lit up the entire sky there. So just get ready because if you're still awake with us up in Kingfisher, you're going to hear a lot of thunder, and I mean that stands out to me about these storms. Even when they're not severe, the amount of cloud to ground lightning and how frequent it is, I mean, it's going to rock your house sometimes. It'll rattle the windows. Looking out to the west now. Now I'm going to come back around, and we're looking back out. This is going to be looking over to the west of Kingfisher and Okarche, and this is back more toward Watonga. And that storm's still severe. And, Damon, there is an area that's near Gary that looks like it's very close to the outflow boundary where the storm is still raining. So that tells me that it can still get a little bit more juice into the storm and make it a little bit stronger. We're going to probably work our way from Okarche down toward El Reno, down Highway 81, and be able to check the winds along the gust front as it comes in. But, I was just thinking about a few weeks ago, I remember we had just kind of some average, garden variety thunderstorms moving through, and all of a sudden we started getting a pocket of wind along the leading edge, and we started seeing power flashes on our tower cameras. So, that's what we'll be watching for. I know you'll have the cameras ready to go and all of that, but if we start seeing some of those pockets of wind develop, which is still possible with these storms as they move in, those are the types of things that we're going to be looking for with this line of storms, unless we get more of a supercell type of storm or something that catches up to the boundary and starts spinning. Well, the hail cores have definitely come down. At least the hail markers on my radar, and gives me a pretty good indication on whether or not a storm has hail or not. It doesn't always necessarily line up with how big the hail is, but it gives me a pretty good idea of whether there is some. I do think there's still some embedded small hail cores just east of Kingfisher along Highway 33. Also, back to the southwest of Kingfisher near Greenfield and just north of Geary. And that's the storm that looked like it was a little bit stronger. There is a pocket of wind, Damon, that's associated with that, but it's not super strong. So I don't know if it'll have the Highway 81 magic or not and come in and once it crosses 81, we'll see if it starts to pick up. I think one thing that we have going for us tonight is I was just kind of thinking about these storms and you know the intensity where they're at. Unlike some of the other storms that we had earlier this spring, and even the when we had the tornadoes back in November, we don't have a real strong low-level jet. I know you and I have talked about this earlier this week that the jet stream has just not been a normal April pattern. This has been more like something like we see maybe in like the summertime or something. So, if they had real strong winds to work with in the atmosphere already, I think we'd be seeing a different story on these. But seeing the trends coming down, yeah, I would agree with that. Well, just kind of that lowered cloud base. I could see there being some people say, oh, I might see a funnel here or there, and probably most likely they're not. Well, we will see some appendages and things along the leading edge of this line of storms. You can see it kind of looks a little bit lower right there, for instance. That's not associated with any rotation or anything, tornadic or anything like that. So they sometimes at night it can kind of give that appearance, and it looks a little bit eerie with the lightning flashing right there. There was a big cloud of ground lightning strike. This I'm looking back up toward Okarchi, by the way. We just pulled over and stopped here along Northwest Expressway, just to the east of Highway 81 and Highway 3 here, just north of El Reno and south of Okarchi. So we're going to watch this line of storms come in. I don't anticipate a big surge in wind, but we're going to kind of follow the wind as it comes across the northwest side of the metro and just see if anything peaks up. But right now, it's it's really not looking too bad, Damon. Yeah, other than the fact that it's going to be very noisy. Well, I was looking at some of the tops of the storms, and there is an area around Weatherford that is a little bit stronger. That's going to be moving down toward Bangor and Chickasha and Minko. That little cluster there looks like it's a little bit more enhanced. I don't see super strong winds with it, but there's actually just a little bit of shear in the atmosphere south of Weatherford. Now, it's probably undercut with cool air, so I'm not too worried about it. But that's just one complex. That one has been warned, but it's not warned right now. And they've dropped the severe thunderstorm warnings, and part of that reason, Damon, is because there's only so long that you can keep warning these and it moving through the Oklahoma mesonet sites, and we're not registering any severe thunderstorm wind gusts. So the ground truth tells us that the storm isn't severe, even though sometimes the radar suggests it might be. Think he's going to try to carry these all the way through the metro? Yeah, Damon, right now, I turned on my LED bar here just to kind of light up some of the rain that's coming in sideways here in Storm Command. The winds are not all that terribly strong, but they're, I would say they're up around 20 to 25 miles an hour, so nothing severe. I mean, we've had much worse winds on just kind of normal days, to be honest, but kind of keeping an eye on this line right here just in case we do see any additional wind. On radar, there is a little uptick on the winds right here near Okarchi where we're at, but as we've kind of been seeing, like we talked about it earlier, all the observations have been pointing toward the fact that these winds are not severe. I'm just, we're going to make sure we'll keep walking this down the line, and if it increases, we'll let you know. Yeah, we just are starting to get out of some of that heavy rain. You can see here on my 360 cam, we were having some huge raindrops here along Northwest Expressway, just southeast of Okarche, northwest of Piedmont. So as I spin the camera around, you're going to see a lowered cloud area along that leading edge and some big lightning strikes again. As I look back up into the rain, there you go, and it just lights up. It feels like the whole world sometimes whenever you get these big lightning strikes. I mean, they're just they're so powerful. It's wild, but the storms themselves continue to drop in their intensity. I mean, they're not severe, and if they pick up and they become severe, we'll let you know. But right now, a lot of lightning, very heavy rain. You could have some small hail south of Weatherford in that storm that's near Corn, moving down toward Eakley. Is he going to stay on until these clear the metro, even if they're not? Yeah, about 20 to 25. That was it. I was like, wow, that's it. I mean, I was kind of surprised it wasn't stronger, but one thing that has, I mean, it maybe have weakened just a little bit, but And the lightning is still very fierce with these storms. So even though we're not getting a tremendous amount of momentum that's being transferred from the storms up aloft down to the ground, they're still very, very noisy. Yeah, I just swung the camera back around, kind of looking back to a little bit more to my west from where I'm at, moving into Piedmont here. And we didn't really drive that fast, and we still outran the storm. I mean, we're way out ahead of it now. So we're not not even doing the speed limit. So the storms are not moving very fast. There's not a strong low level jet. I think the chances of them producing severe weather are very low at this point. Really, just the fact that we haven't seen that uptick in the storms. They're just kind of maintaining the same intensity. You'll see a little bit of a flare up, like out west of El Reno. There might be a little pocket of small hail, kind of out just northwest of the prison, right there, north of Business 40 and I 40. Um, I, I, I got to tell you, that's right close to Fort Reno, by the way, out there along I 40. But other than that, you know, just kind of have this the same intensity pretty much with most of these storms. I did get a little small hail marker between Seward and Edmond, just a couple miles north of Waterloo. Actually, 1 to 2 miles north of Waterloo, so pretty close to Simmons Road, and that's going to be let's see, north-south road is going to be eastern, so and Broadway. So that as that goes up out north out of Edmond, you could have just a little small hail with that one. Yeah, the as far as I see on those hailstorms, I don't see much in the way of like significant damaging hail. Now, will it peck at your windows? Will it kind of make you nervous? Potentially. I mean, because we did have some up to baseball size hail earlier tonight. up in northwest Oklahoma during the daylight hours. But we haven't seen anything like that in a long time since that main supercell kind of finally weakened some. So even though we're going to see some pockets of hail here and there from Binger and maybe that one up near Edmond a little bit, it's going to be north of Edmond. Those are the two areas that I see that would have perhaps a little bit of small hail with them. But honestly, I think the rain may be heavy enough on some of these that you may not be able to tell the difference on whether it's small hail or real heavy rain because the raindrops are big in some of these storms. Yeah, basically the same as what it was about 3 minutes ago here, Damon. Looking back out toward El Reno, there's saw a lot of lightning in and around Canadian County right now, moving in toward Yukon and the north side of the metro. Actually, a little bit of a lull right now where we are with the respect to the lightning. We're very near Council and Northwest Expressway, getting ready to coming in on Rockwell. And so right now, you see the whole sky still kind of light up. Part of that's my camera's in a night vision mode that really allows me to see the lightning really well. So when you see it light up just like that, uh, sometimes that may seem like there's a lot more lightning than there is. Where I do think we still see a lot of lightning is out in El Reno, and then especially that storm near Binger. I that one still is. I saw what you were saying earlier. Whenever it kind of picked up a little bit, it even has a little bit of an inflow notch in the reflectivity just south of Binger. Still seeing that hail core out near Binger. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the hail's picked up a little bit more. That has turned black on the color palette on my radar here in Storm Command. And there is, again, Damon, there is a little bit of an inflow notch right there. I see some shear. It's not super strong. It's not something that is strong enough to be, warrant a tornado warning. But that storm, like, it's just south of Binger, right on the south edge of Binger, moving down toward Gracemont, to the southeast down toward Chickasha. So that's, to me, when you ask what stands out, that's what stands out right now. Let's go right. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, just let them go by and we can go behind them. Actually, both of these go right. You don't have to be in that far right one. They're going severe on this. We may have to go down toward Chickasha with it. Yeah, you can see the lowered cloud base from the gust front actually that's moving over the west side of Oklahoma City. We're coming up on the Amarillo Junction right here at I-44 and I-40, and still seeing some lightning that's lighting up the base of those clouds, but nothing severe right here. We are going to transition back down to the airport here on the southwest side of the metro, and kind of keep an eye if we need to take a take I-44 down ahead of that storm if it continues to show signs of strengthening, the one that's out near Binger right now that they did issue the severe thunderstorm warning on. Well, just the appearance of the clouds. I think this could probably, freak some people out. You know what I mean? Like it just we call them scary looking clouds sometimes, but they it can look a little bit ominous like that with the low clouds as they're moving in with the low winds as well, or sorry, strong winds. It it just gives an interesting look to the sky there across it with that shelf cloud and low hanging clouds moving in, and then when they're lit by lightning from underneath them, it really gives kind of a pretty dramatic appearance. So we'll be in a position here to head down toward Chickasha if we need to with that storm that's out near Binger. I guess it's a little bit south and east of Binger now, but that's the one that we have our eye on. Yeah, right now, Damon, I would just say we're still watching that area southwest Oklahoma City where we're seeing some pretty bright lightning flashes looking out toward the Mustang area. There are a few sporadic lightning strikes here across Oklahoma County, but not very many. There's some pockets of heavy rain, certainly, which will take the rain. We'll take it all day long when we don't have severe weather. This is the time of year when we need to get it, especially. So, but watching that area that's just near Spring Creek, I have it just south of Kogar and north of Verdon, and that's the one little pocket there of hail that did prompt that severe thunderstorm warning. I think it is weakened already though, so as about as fast as it pulsed up, it's coming back down. So we'll keep an eye on that as it moves it in toward Grady County and Chickasha. But as of right now, it does not look real threatening. Are we at Southwest 59?
Uh-huh. Well, that's good.
Yeah, that's just above a spot-free rinse when you go wash your car, right? I mean, it's not a